Hi students, now we will discuss about viscometers or methods of measurement of viscosity. The instruments are called as viscometers, also they are called as rheometers. Now, briefly they are classified into two types, one point and multi-point instrument. One point viscometers are those which determines only single viscosity value. This means they are only useful for Newtonian material. As an example, these instruments do not change the shear. Since there is no change in shear, therefore what is happening to the viscosity is not noticeable. Therefore, they are used for only those material whose viscosity is constant. Whereas in case of multi-point equipment, since there is some shear element or some part which undergoes shear, therefore they can check the value of material at different shear value, or they can determine non-Newtonian material. If we take an example, capillary viscometers such as Ostwald viscometers and Ball-Hodde viscometers, and density viscometers such as falling and rising sphere viscometers, they are one point equipment. Whereas rotational viscometers, since the name suggests there is some moving part, rotational viscometers are multi-point equipments. So this is the second way of classifying based on the mechanism. The viscometers are classified as capillary viscometers, density dependent and rotational viscometers. So one which has capillary action where liquid tends to move from the capillary and this movement is able to record the viscosity is called as capillary viscometers. There are three examples of capillary viscometers: Ostwald viscometers, Ball-Hodde viscometers and extrusion viscometers. Whereas density dependent are those where viscosity is determined based on the density. They are of two types: falling sphere viscometers. Their brand name is Hoppler viscometer. Falling sphere viscometers, the example is Hoppler viscometer. The second is rising sphere viscometer and the example is bubble viscometers. Then third is rotational viscometers, where some part is moving and because of that movement shear is there or stress values are there, and therefore we are measuring the viscosity of the material at different points of shear or stress, and therefore these materials are called as rheometers. See, traditionally all of them are called as viscometers because they measure only viscosity at one point. Since this is measuring rheology, viscosity at different shear values, they are called as rheometers. But generally rheometers are used for all of them. So rotational, they are of three types: cup and bob viscometer. The developed form is cone and plate viscometers, and for semi-solids we have penetrometers. There are different types of cup and bob viscometers also, three types: cow type, Searle type and third type. So there are three types of cup and bob viscometers, the detail and examples of which we will discuss when we are doing detail of cup and bob viscometers. Thank you. Hi students, now we will discuss about capillary viscometers. As already told to you, capillary viscometers are categorized into three types: Ostwald viscometer, Ball-Hodde viscometer and extrusion viscometers. So we will discuss first type, that is Ostwald viscometers. Now since it is capillary viscometer, this means there is a capillary, and because of the capillary, Pausli's equation comes into play. Viscosity is equals to del P pi r raised to the power 4 T divided by 8 into L into V. This is Pausli's equation. This comes into play because there is a capillary action. So wherever fluid is moving through a capillary, it is represented by Pausli's equation. The second thing is, since it is a U-tube, therefore manometer equation comes into play, and del P is equals to H rho G is the equation of manometer. So here del P is replaced by H rho G to modify the equation. Now we will understand what is happening and use of these equations. So there are two equations, Paucely's equation and manometer. The manometer equation is indulged into the Paucely's equation to form a modified equation. Now what is happening in the Ostwald viscometer? See, Ostwald viscometer consists of U-tube with capillary embedded in one arm. Now if you will see, there is a shorter bulb here and a larger bulb here. The shorter and larger bulb is because so that any time same liquid levels are not matched, because what we exactly want, we first of all fill the liquid through this arm and we suck the liquid above the point A. Then we allow liquid to move from point A to point B. Always liquid is allowed to move from point A to point B. It flows through the capillary. We will note the time and we will see how much time is required for liquid to move from point A to point B. Now the larger bulb here is only half filled at the time of start of experiment. So when it increases filling, because liquid is flowing, so till all the liquid flows here, the level does not rises up, because you know the manometer principle, when level is same, the liquid stop flowing. So they are adjusted in such a way that this level and this level, they are not matched. It is always lower and liquid keep rising until all of liquid from A to B moves down. When liquid level is above B, is lower than B, at that time experiment is stopped. We have to just check how much liquid, how much time is taken by liquid to move from point A to point B through the capillary. Now we come back to equation. If we see this equation, in this equation if we see viscosity, we have to determine H is this height, which is again constant for throughout the experiment. G is acceleration due to gravity, which is constant. Pi is constant. R is radius of capillary, so this is also constant. L is length of capillary, it is constant. And V is volume from A to point B, which is also constant. So whole of the constant are replaced by K, and equation becomes viscosity is equals to constant K into rho into T. Now this K is instrumental constant. We are not able to determine the instrument constant as such. Therefore, through this equipment, we can only determine relative viscosity. So when we are determining relative viscosity, means we have to use a standard liquid of known viscosity. Then we will compare it with our test liquid. At that time, this equation is modified into neta1 over neta2 is equals to rho1 T1. Rho1 is density of first liquid. T1 is time taken by first liquid to move from point A to B. Whereas neta2, which is known to us, is viscosity of standard liquid. Rho2 is density. These both can be determined using specific gravity bottles. And T2 is time taken by second liquid or standard liquid to move from point A to point B. So these two are determined experimentally. This is known. These two are also determined experimentally. And thus we are able to determine viscosity of our test liquid. Now this is always a relative viscosity. Through this equipment, we cannot determine absolute viscosity. This is one drawback. The second drawback is viscous liquids. Slightly viscous liquids cannot be tested because it has very thin capillary, which is its principle, because it is based on movement of fluid through a capillary. The third point is it is only used for Newtonian material. Non-Newtonian materials are not evaluated by this because there is no shear application and these equipments do not work for non-Newtonian materials. Now we come on for second type of or modified form of Ostwald viscometer. Same principle, same is everything. Just one drawback of this capillary viscometers are overcome by, or Ostwald viscometers are overcome by Bullhode viscometers. This is the Paucely's equation say that liquid is freely moving through a capillary. When it is freely moving through a capillary, there should be no liquid beneath the capillary. But in Ostwald viscometer, there is a liquid beneath the capillary which slightly modifies or changes the result. So in Balhode viscometer, the third arm is placed to regulate the pressure. Now there is no liquid beneath the capillary. When liquid is there, it will move here. So just immediately after capillary, there is no liquid. So vacuum is there and results are more accurate. This is called as Balhode viscometer. Balhode viscometer. The third type is or extrusion viscometers are basically the pitchkaris which we are using at Holi time. So there is a hole, there is a piston. So because of this mechanism, you can use viscous materials. The viscous material viscosity can be determined, but only for Newtonian material, not for non-Newtonian materials. So when liquid is moving through a capillary, the rate at which it is coming out is determined. They are called as extrusion viscometers. So simply they are drawn by this diagram. So there is a piston, there is a capillary here, and fluid moves out. A very common example of such type is redwood viscometer.